Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Chirp. I have one of the most OG fashion bloggers with me today, Amber Javed. If you don't know about her, well, you're going to find out a lot about her today, and she's going to share some insightful learnings about her journey with us. Assalamu alaikum, Amber.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me here today.
It's a pleasure for me, trust me.
It's an honor for me as well.
How are you?
Good, all good.
That's good. क्या कर रही हैं आप आजकल, पहले बताएं.
मैं आजकल I'm super busy with blog, and obviously this is also the time when there's a lot of partnerships coming, winter collections, and brands, trying to invest more on the digital media. तो partnerships बहुत ज़्यादा हैं. Plus, as we were discussing, I've launched Find Again on the site. So Find Again is a side venture of mine. So work is keeping me busy these days.
That's good. आपकी काफ़ी जर्नी रही है. So I'm going to probe into the whole thing.
Right.
And I'd like for you to be as candid as possible with us. So when did you start fashion blogging? I think that was a really long time ago.
Yeah. Really long. So I started blogging in 2012.
ठीक है.
And I was a year or 2 years down my graduation, and ठीक है, I was doing a job, but I still remember at that point in time, digital media शुरू हुआ था कुछ, like all these social media platforms वगैरह ये कुछ आना शुरू हुए थे. And back in the day, obviously, I used to have some free time up my hands. So I started reading a lot of international blogs for some reason, and I don't know how it happened and why it happened, but because I was never into fashion, growing up, I wasn't one of those girls who was, very careful about how she looks or style, or I want to wear pink. Like, to be honest, I was a very tomboyish kind of a girl, right? So I wasn't into fashion, and I don't know how it happened, but just the idea of reading a platform or a digital, like a website every day where people share opinions, and back in the day there was an Indian blog called High Heel Confidential and Miss Malini, and just reading a lot of like new blogs every day, that just intrigued me. So I realized that I'm really sort of into this. And also at the same time, I had a lot of friends at that time. Pakistan में blogging नई नई शुरू हुई थी. So I had friends जिन्होंने tech blog start किए थे. Initially, I think Muzammil might know that they were tech blogs initially, pro-Pakistani and the likes. And then there were some of my friends who had just started other blogs. So उन्होंने मुझे कहा कि since you're reading so much on fashion, right? And we know a little bit about how to set up a blog. Let us help you build a blog, and this could just be something that you can, start writing on.
अच्छा.
And I said, okay. So I remember I was out for a walk with myself, and I thought, कि यार कोई नाम सोचते हैं. And I just randomly came up with a wardrobe affair. I said, हाँ ये ठीक है. And the next thing I knew, my friends helped me set up this place. And I remember there was a Yasir Waheed lawn exhibition happening in those days, and I just मेरा पास छोटा सा कैमरा था, वो मोबाइल कैमरा था. So I went there. I said, hi, my name is Amber. I'm a fashion blogger, and I'm here to cover your exhibition. And I still remember the look on Yasir's face, because he was obviously a little skeptical. Okay, what does this girl mean? Like, why is she here? So it just started off with a very humble beginning. And I would say that the interest and the passion has just grown along the way. At no point had I imagined that this will become, a full-time career for me. And it just grew with time.
So 2012 बहुत पुरानी बात है.
Yeah.
8 साल हो गए
8
हैं.
years.
तो 8 साल में फैशन ब्लॉगिंग बहुत इवॉल्व की होगी. What was it like before, and what is it like now? What?
Okay, so obviously 8 years is a long time. From the time that I and a couple of other people that I remember now, 1 or 2 in Lahore, 1 and 2 in Karachi, and even in Islamabad, like a couple of people just started it out. And obviously we all joined Instagram, and we were just doing it as a platform to talk about fashion, right? So we would just look at something globally, हमने वो देखा, हमने उसको लगा दिया, हमने उसके ऊपर कोई बात कर ली, and it was just something that people were also just exploring. And I must say that obviously after Instagram came in or फिर Snapchat आया, obviously it started growing and people started joining. So there was a growing acceptability of this as this upcoming thing where people are doing fashion blogging. And we got noticed, by the way, by the fashion industry also, obviously. So they thought, okay, if there, for example, there were fashion weeks happening and they realized that we want more people to be talking about the fashion week online. So they started inviting us. And that was, the kind of initial excitement that we got.
How
oh my
exciting.
God. I still remember my first fashion week. I planned the leave from my office. So I used to take a leave from office, and to be honest, I'm sorry, I had to lie sometimes saying I have some work and I'm going to Lahore, and then obviously catching a Daewoo, so it was a lot of like a पूरा एक प्रोसेस होता था कि यार फैशन वीक पे जाना है और मैंने अपनी लुक डिज़ाइन की मैंने खुद से कपड़े सिलवाए और like just very excited that I'm going to a fashion week. But then obviously I met so many people there. Now that I'm happy that I know, at a much deeper level. लेकिन फिर जाहिर है फैशन वीक्स पे गए, people started noticing, we were getting invited to events, we were being sent PRs, and obviously initially it seems like, okay, this is fun.
The glamorous life.
The glamorous life. And I still remember when the lights go on and there's ramp and then there's music and HSY would come and I was like, this is the place I belong to. And obviously, at that time I was also doing a day job. And one that was not glamorous at all, right? Like, it was a very serious, because I studied engineering. मैंने telecom engineering की थी.
अच्छा, where were you working?
I was working at Telenor.
अच्छा.
तो Telenor में मैं एक engineering department में थी. I was just like doing some basic Excel work, and then suddenly I was transported on to a fashion, platform and that whole ramp thing. So obviously that transition for me was very exciting, and I just felt like, okay, this is something I would like to do further. So khair, but obviously things जहाँ पे आपको कुछ चीज़ों की glamorous side भी होती है, वहाँ पे flip sides भी होती हैं. But so what I'm trying to say is that over the next couple of years after that, we also, like as an industry, I've seen that time where was the very strong sort of like backlash to nahi keh sakte, maybe that's a very strong word to use, but there was sort of like this sudden insecurity, especially by print media or by other factions, which honestly I don't blame them, because they felt uncomfortable with this whole surge of young people who are being given so much of like importance and being talked about, and we are being featured. So they were just uncomfortable with the idea, right? So and obviously with brands also, they took some time to understand what we do and who we are and who are these people. So, and we had to obviously bear with that whole phase where we had to constantly explain what we do, and we had to constantly find that
समझ नहीं
value.
आती थी कि आप लोग करते क्या हैं.
हाँ, वो तो अभी भी है.
मुझे भी लोग पूछते हैं कि आप इंटरनेट पे करती क्या हैं.
हाँ, लेकिन हम ना, I must say, because now that we are actually talking about it, कि there was also like sort of like a negative connotation when we were being spoken about, that there was somehow this notion that we're just like a bunch of pretty girls strutting around on the red carpet taking photos, and obviously people were taking photos of us, so people were just like, ये करते क्या हैं, who are they at the end of the day, ठीक है मतलब. But because the whole जो एक respect worthy जो एक platform consider किया जाता था, वो print को किया जाता था. So print magazine में अगर आप एक editor हैं या आप writer हैं या आप कुछ करते हैं, that is something that they were used to. So anything new obviously that comes in is uncomfortable for people, and it took some time for the industry to get to know us. And lastly, obviously over over the years, people started, हमारी एक as a community भी ज़्यादा acceptability हो गई. Then brands obviously started to realize that this is a very crucial and a very effective medium of marketing. And obviously they had no choice but to eventually move on from traditional media to digital media.
Because digital ने disruption कर दी ना of conventional media.
आप मतलब deny नहीं कर सकते थे, वो जितना मर्जी है वो करते, but it was a natural flow that globally happened.
Yes.
So yeah.
So पहले I think एक और चीज़ जो I think fashion blogging में हुई, पहले it wasn't so personal and interactive. Right. It was ज़्यादा one way communication भी थी.
बिल्कुल.
और दूसरा I think इतना पर्सनल नहीं था कि हु इज़ टॉकिंग अबाउट फैशन,
Absolutely.
राइट. इट्स जस्ट लाइक ए ब्लॉग, उसके पीछे कोई है जो फैशन के बारे में बात कर रहा है. सो एंड बिकॉज यू बिन इन हियर फॉर सो लॉन्ग, तो वो चेंज कैसा था?
वो चेंज ऑनेस्टली अनकम्फर्टेबल था. I remember, like I said, initially it used to be a lot of talking about things happening here, there, and everything. So we are talking about what's happening at Dior, and we are talking about Sonam Kapoor wearing masaba, and then we are picking local news bites. And बीच में कहीं पे आपने अपनी भी एक तस्वीर लगा दी, and that was it. That was the most amount of personalization that was there to the blog. And obviously, once this whole surge came globally, जब आपने international stars ने शुरू किया, they started putting their lives out there, they started putting themselves out there. And obviously, we were also quick to catch कि अच्छा यार, branded content के से एक हद से ज़्यादा, it's just a paid advertisement. There is no individual space for us, for our own identity. And it was uncomfortable, to be honest. The thought that I am now going to put myself out there. And I still remember Maria, my sister, she was helping me on the blog for some time. She worked with me for a year or so. And I still remember one day I told her, I said, Maria, I think I've decided that we will no longer be doing branded content. And, she was also like, no, I think you're overthinking this, right? Like, let's just not. I was like, no, let's not, like do what we have been doing for the longest of times, because I also saw that model was dying. Right? Because being
It's
a
time to
faceless
pivot.
person,
Yeah.
I was killing the joy. Being a faceless person, just putting and talking about things happening globally, it wasn't fulfilling any, कोई satisfaction नहीं मिल रही थी उससे. So then obviously it was uncomfortable, but आहिस्ता आहिस्ता obviously became more comfortable with the idea. People interact with you. People obviously share what they like. And it was आहिस्ता आहिस्ता हुआ.
हुआ, कर लिया.
हाँ, कर लिया. अभी भी, by the way, I would say, I don't know if it happens to you and if it happens to other bloggers, it still gives me some sense of anxiety at the back of my mind. The fact that our lives are there for anybody to consume. And that's something that we have willingly, obviously, I have willingly signed up for, and I'm okay with it. But the realization hits sometimes that,
it does.
and obviously I'm careful now. I'm much more careful of what I share and what I put up publicly, because that's what I signed up for, but I'm trying to sort of moderate it now.
Yeah. Define your boundaries.
Bilkul.
Know कि okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I don't want
And
to
the
do.
level of
Responsibility
control-
भी increase हो गई है ना, हो जाती है.
Bilkul. Or I would say that the level of control, let's say, that I would like to have in terms of what I have shared with the world and what I haven't. So I've still kept things that I would not like to, put on a public platform.
I think from mainstream blogging, people became more interested in the people who are blogging. So
Right.
you were talking about styles of this and that. Now you're talking about your style, right? People are more interested in what's Amber wearing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how does Amber dress up?
Bilkul.
Pehle you were talking about, okay, like what Sonam Kapoor wore.
Yeah.
But now it's like what your style is.
Bilkul.
Because
And
you
who
have that
Amber
sense of
is and how she dresses up given her context and her place in life and, all of that.
all of it. So you've been through quite a fashion blogging world.
Yeah. It was like this, more of this than this.
I think सबका ऐसे ही होता है. So अच्छा, एक और जो चीज़ थी, you said कि you were working.
Yeah.
So अब you're not working.
As in, I'm not working
as
in
in
the corporate sector.
in the corporate sector.
Yes.
So why did you do that? क्यों छोड़ दिया?
उसकी 2-3 वजूहात थी. Number one, and I think I have said it on my page also before, but I'm glad I got this opportunity to speak, to you today about it in detail, that I obviously was very good at what I did. And I did benefit a lot from it also in much more intangible ways that I can even count now. The idea that I learned how to even work in a multi, domain, office environment, basics of emails and communication and problem solving and negotiation, and okay, so now things have gone wrong, what do we do? So all of that obviously you learn by working in a setup, like in a bigger organization. And that obviously I was good at it, I enjoyed it. But I had started to really feel in the last couple of years that I've ran my course. And as an individual, I've started to feel that I'm not growing. Had I stayed, I was very comfortable. I will make it to a much higher position. But I was just starting to feel that I'm not growing holistically as a person, where I feel like, I feel more free to explore my creative side, where I'm interacting with many more. And also, to be honest, just by virtue of the number of hours you're spending. I mean, आप 9 बजे जाते हो, रात को 7 बजे 8 बजे आते हो, उस पर भी आपको कोई ना कोई emails और communication जा रही होती हैं. Saturday, Sunday, you're just like, okay, I need a breather. So I felt like that time where I would like to utilize to just do something else is also not there. आपने कुछ explore भी करना हो तो आपके पास time नहीं है, आपके पास वक्त नहीं है. And then obviously I was doing blogging on the side. And there were so many people within the corporate sector who kept telling me this, that you're good at this. You should take the plunge. But obviously the discomfort associated with leaving a cushy job and a paycheck was very uncomfortable. And I lived with that thought for, I would say, years.
Yes.
And then you keep thinking, हाँ नहीं चलो, I can maybe balance both. I can just continue doing both. But then there came a time where I realized that the time is now. It's now or never. Either I fully explore what I want to sort of explore and, just try and see what it holds for me. And if I will never take this risk, maybe I will never know. And to live with that regret was something that I really started to scare me. That another 5 years from now, I'm okay with not making any money, and it's okay if I will become a failed blogger and I will just, fizzle out and whatever. But the worst feeling would be for me to know that, okay, fine, I'm at a much higher position in the corporate sector, but I never explored that side of me. So that pushed me. And obviously last year, my mother was unwell. I just started to feel I need to be home more often. And again, that whole, idea that I'm spending a lot more time in doing a day job than I should be doing other things. So I remember I went to work and I just picked up my phone one random day and I called my boss. And she was very sweet, by the way. I must appreciate, I've had wonderful bosses. She said, is there something wrong? You want to talk about it? Because obviously people get like, if maybe there's something else. I said, no, I made up my mind. And that's when I took the plunge. And alhamdulillah, I think I've been very happy that I took this decision at the right time.
बीच में you said कि you thought कि maybe you could balance both, right?
हाँ, बिल्कुल.
And I don't doubt the fact that you could have, but at the end of the day सिर्फ balance के बारे में नहीं होता, एक liberating experience of एक freedom.
बिल्कुल
of just existing and creating.
Yes, I agree.
वो आपको नहीं आ सकता. Then you're just trying to balance.
This is what my sister also told me at that time. कि टाइम की बात नहीं है, बैलेंस करने की बात नहीं है. बैलेंस मैं कर रही थी, लेकिन वो क्रिएटिव स्पेस नहीं मेरे लिए क्रिएट हो रही कि मैं आराम से बैठ के अपने माइंड को सारे को अनक्लॉग करके एक चीज़ पे फुली फोकस कर सकूं. When I know that there are 20 emails happening in the background, really there's only so much creativity that you can come up with, and
it's the freedom of the mind.
It's the freedom of the mind.
Yes.
And it's the joy of knowing that now you're doing this full time, you're in it, and you have the time to yourself, you have the liberty to do what you want to do. That was exciting.
ठीक है. And then this year you took another step बहुत recently. आपने start किया Find Again. ठीक है. एक तो tell me a little bit about Find Again. What is it?
So Find Again is a curated selection. It's a space, a digital Instagram पे भी फिलहाल page है. We're obviously
like
going
a platform.
हाँ, it's a platform where we are stocking a curated selection which is being curated by me of fashionable stuff, but they're pre-loved, right?
ठीक है.
So again, over the last couple of months, I had been thinking about it. I've been sitting on this idea because one, I realized that I used to hold closet sales, मेरी अपनी closet sales on my page very regularly.
I've seen
And I
that.
realized people love that. People just kept saying that we trust your choice and we know that whatever you are buying is going to be nice, and they trust my, nice of people to do that, whatever I pick. So people were always very keen on buying stuff from my closet. Secondly, I realized that there was this whole global mindset change, that people no longer have to buy really expensive stuff, and you don't have to necessarily buy brand new stuff to look good. I, for one, have been wearing a lot of hand-me-downs. I look for either thrift stores. Even in Dubai, I was looking for these smaller shops instead of going to the bigger malls. So I realized that girls really are looking for a place in Pakistan which promotes this idea of buying pre-loved stuff, and which is also being curated by somebody who could sort of pick those things for them. And to be able to make fashion more affordable, more accessible. And the other day, somebody asked me, so what was the idea behind Find Again? I said, look, let's say I want to buy a purple coat this season, right? And because fashion is moving so fast, the trends are changing so fast, a girl wants a yellow blazer, a purple coat, now you want neon boots. And those are the kind of quick, trendy things you buy and you get over with very quickly. Yes. So I said I wanted to buy a purple coat, but I'm not willing to spend 20,000 on it, right? I want to buy a purple coat for 2,000 rupees. So then I created that space where people can find a purple coat for 2,000 rupees. So that was the idea, to make it more accessible, make it more affordable, and to not, also worry about going into stores and finding stuff for yourself. You'll get a huge variety of things in one place.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think the idea is amazing.
Thank you.
Also, क्योंकि personally मुझे I've been a very wise spender, alhamdulillah, हमेशा से life में. My closet is never exploding with clothes. बिल्कुल. I don't like clutter and I don't like waste.
And I also don't like hoarding. I realize कि hoarding से anxiety
होती है. और मेरा ये था कि यार अगर कोई चीज़ नहीं पहननी तो वो ना हो मेरे पास, and with the increasing conversation about sustainable fashion and how the amount of everything that is wasted.
Absolutely.
और आपके कपड़े अभी भी इतना अरसा चल सकते हैं लेकिन आप उन्हें पहनना छोड़ देते हो.
बिल्कुल.
So वो ये बहुत अच्छा है कि people will reuse and fully utilize and not waste. So I think it's amazing.
Yeah, and with this platform, I wanted to make sure that whether it was my stuff, जो मेरी closet में मुझे ये feel होता था यार, I'm a blogger, I get so much stuff. But it's unfair that I'm not even going to wear it beyond 2 times. Because my work also entails that every time I wear something, it has to be put out there, right? I can't put it 10 times out there, it will lose its excitement. So if I just wear it 1 or 2 times, it's only fair to let somebody else who will actually really enjoy wearing it over and over again to pass it on.
अच्छा, I feel कि यही वजह है that we both feel passionately about this. क्योंकि आपको जब PR आती है ना बहुत सारी, तो a lot of the time you like the stuff, but because you haven't been looking for it or gone to get it, you don't love it that much. So you will wear it, you will like it, and कि दूसरों के लिए it's good to show them and they might like it. लेकिन वो फिर पड़ा रहे आपकी क्लोजेट में, एंड इट यूज्ड टू मेक मी फील सो बैड, लाइक यार ये मैं क्या चीज़ें लेके मुझे लोग भेजते रहते हैं और मैं रखती रहती हूँ, जबकि मैं फैशन ब्लॉगिंग इतनी करती भी नहीं हूँ. बट फिर भी इट यूज्ड टू गिव मी एंग्जाइटी के लोग मुझे इतने कपड़े क्यों आ रहे हैं मेरे पास.
That is I believe again, like you said, I think I relate with you on that, because I started to feel that because I'm getting so much of PR, 90% of my wardrobe is just stuff that has been sent to me, right?
It's not what you loved and wanted
so
to
I was
buy.
like, where is that little me shopping? Like, what is it that I can go and actually buy and I say, okay, I like this, I want to get this. Okay, so I also wanted to exactly start to shift everything that was coming my way to a platform where people can just buy it at a much lesser cost. They can use it or wear it, love it. And maybe I don't need that stuff. So Find Again ke liye I'd start. And then obviously Find Again ke liye, it's not just my closet. It's different vendors and places that I source from. I make sure everything is given an absolutely brand new experience, so that when a person buys it, uske dry cleaned ho, wo ek acha se box mein aaye. So it's also creating like a joy and a shift in mindset in how people view pre-loved stuff. So yeah.
Just because it's used doesn't mean कि it can't be love.
Yeah.
Or
That's
it
a nice
can't make you
tagline.
happy.
I'll just write that as a tagline.
Yeah, you can use it. I don't mind. अच्छा. So, अच्छा, I wanted to understand कि Find Again में people send clothes?
Okay, no, so this is a misconception because
Acha.
people also mistake us for these buying and selling pages.
अच्छा, okay.
Because Hamna, see, here's what the thing was. I just didn't want it to be any other store which is acting as a mediator. Obviously, that would have been great. But I feel that we, at this stage, for that to happen, I would have had a much bigger setup and much bigger sources. Like some place like Daraz should have been there, where they bring all the people together and they do the buying and the selling. But frankly, I felt, one, I don't have those kind of resources. I
ठीक
wanted
है.
to start off small.
ठीक है.
And then secondly, I wanted it to have some kind of personal flavor. For me,
Okay.
because I understand my audience, I understand the needs of a girl like myself or you, and I know that this is the kind of stuff that they're looking for. But once they go to stores, they may not find this. So I want to keep it a little more carefully picked myself.
Okay.
So that every piece, is something that I feel, will be more relevant.
Okay. Acha, I thought people can also participate where you
Maybe
sort of
somewhere
connect
down the line
somewhere.
we will introduce that. Obviously, that would require a much
Yeah.
bigger setup.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Chalo, one step at a time. No, I really like the idea of personal curation. It's very nice.
Thank you.
Acha. So, now you're working full time at Find Again and blogging. Is that a lot of work?
It is a lot of work. I mean, today I was telling this to someone that if I were doing a 9 to 6 job, I would have been out of home for 9 hours or 10 hours. But I think so is the case with my current work on the blog at Find Again. And in fact, I would say even more. And you will be able to relate to that, right? Because we know that the posting time is 9 p.m. And so we are awake till 10 p.m. And for us, that work is almost 24/7. And obviously managing a business in which you're looking after the product, the sourcing, the packaging. I just recently, got 2 team members on board because I felt like work was getting bigger and I needed support and I needed an extra pair of hands to do all the work that I can't. So, and obviously then there is brand partnerships. Sometimes you're also creating organic content. So you're working with photographers. You need people to help you also come up with like creative ideas. Sometimes you run out of, with a creative block. And, this girl that I just hired, I said, listen, your job is to think for me sometimes, when I'm running out of ideas. So obviously work's very busy, but I'm trying to balance it,
Acha. Okay, so that's your professional journey.
Yeah.
ठीक है. So now I want to know have you always grown up here? Yeah, in Islamabad?
I've been in Islamabad for the last 15 years. Before that, my father was in the army. So we've traveled all over Pakistan.
I know that life.
Yes. I miss it too. The joy of, exploring a new Kent and making new friends. But also the dread of going to a new school. And, I still hate that feeling of saying, class, please welcome, we have a new student.
हर कुछ सालों के बाद वो आपके साथ होता
होता था.
था. But I think one of the great things about that life is कि it teaches you a lot about people. क्योंकि आप इतनी different जगहों पे जाते हो, आप इतने different तरह के लोगों से मिलते हो कि आप बहुत ज़्यादा सीखते हो.
बिल्कुल. And you end up, coming out of that shell and you have to tell yourself you have to make new friends now.
Yeah.
So go out there. And
Yeah, I think it adds to your personality in a very different way.
It does.
But I can't imagine if I had grown up in one place my whole life. I don't know what that would be like.
Same, like
Or
people
how I
say
would
ये
be as
मेरा
a
class
person.
3 का friend है, and I said I don't have any class 3 का friend, but I do have my college friends, my university friends, and they're all from all over. So that's fun.
That's fun. ठीक है. And where did you study from mostly after being here in Islamabad?
Okay, so I did my O-levels from convent in Murray. Yeah, that's your mom's as well. No, but I think auntie was in a different one. I
Yeah,
was at Convent of Jesus and Mary.
हाँ, उधर दो है ना.
हाँ, उधर दो है. So then I did my O-levels from there. Then I did my FSC, which was a nightmare. because that's a long story. मैंने ना FSC किया इस्लामाबाद आके, then I did my engineering from Behriya, Islamabad, and then obviously I was doing a job. So let's say for most of my 20s and now 30s, I've been in Islamabad.
You've been in Islamabad. Right. So now, you mentioned कि you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
ठीक है. बहुत लोग ये बात सोचते हैं कि हमारे culture ऐसा है and society ऐसी है कि you're not married yet.
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, you've done a lot for yourself, right? What do you have to say about that? कि क्योंकि यहाँ इधर normal नहीं है ये. So what do you think? Because लोग ये भी कहते हैं कि पहले शादी पे focus, then you can build your everything that you want to or do whatever you want to. And even like मैंने अपनी family में देखा है कि जब लड़कियां graduate हुई हैं अपना undergrad से, तो वो masters करना चाहती थी या वो कहीं relocate हो रही थी या कोई opportunity मिल गई थी, तो उनके parents ने उन्हें कहा कि बेटा अभी नहीं, and they had to let go of all these opportunities कि पहले शादी कर लो, ये सब तो होता रहेगा. So how do you feel about that? And for you, I don't know why has marriage not been a priority. Like, I want you to just tell all the other girls out there what that's like. Pressure नहीं आया कभी?
नहीं, pressure तो obviously है. पाकिस्तान में रहते हुए you cannot not say that I'm not being pressured.
Like you isn't it a fight you have to put up?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you. First of all, I must say that I'm really grateful to be born into a family in which the idea of getting married was, and obviously important for any parents, but it wasn't the only thing, right? Like, it wasn't that we just graduated and our parents were shoving it down our throats. No, they were not. And I'm really grateful that they were much more interested in our education and later in knowing which university we are going to and what programs we are getting into. And my father dropped me off to all my interviews when I was going to Telenor and Mobilink, and and he was always very much invested into my work. Sometimes I would come back and I would discuss work politics with him, and he's going, so they were very much always invested in the idea of making something of their daughters. And that much, obviously, I really appreciate that I had the liberty, to be honest, to do all of that. But at the same time, I mean, I would not say that my parents are not part of this society and the kind of pressures they have to also deal. And I obviously, people come to them and people would have asked them. And so do people ask me, obviously. People are like, Acha, so, what's next? And what about your life? And, marriage and, And I, again, like I said, I'm not going to be dishonest and I'm not going to say, okay, that's not been a priority. And because I, honestly, being a fashion blogger and being in the public domain, there are some things that I've always kept private, right? And I've never really spoken about it because I also feel that talking too much about it is also something that has not naturally come to me. It's something I want. I want it to happen. Somewhere down the road, it will happen. But it's not something that I want to hammer so much that it starts to become counterproductive, right? Okay, being 30s and not married, being 30s and obviously I want people to take more inspiration from what I'm doing. People, like somebody said this to me also earlier, sometime before, that people are always inspired by what they see, not what you say.
Yeah.
So no matter how much I tell girls that please don't do this and do that, girls are also looking for real life inspirations. So somebody is looking at Hamna and saying, okay, there's this, young 20-something girl who's also married and she's also doing this, and that's the kind of woman I want to be. So I believe in creating more, like, doing more action than just talking about things, showing what you're doing.
I agree with you so much on this.
And perhaps, I'm not saying I could be inspiring, like, honestly, if somebody thinks that I am, then, I'm grateful for it. But I'm just saying perhaps pave the way for someone out there that this too is an option, that this too is okay. And it's okay if you're not married in your 30s. I mean, it's not a disease. Everybody wants to be married. Everybody wants to, perhaps move on at some point in their lives. And maybe, there are people who don't want to. I mean, it's also, again, an individual choice. किसके लिए क्या काम कर रहा है? एक set template नहीं हो सकता. You can get married first and then do a job. You can do a job first and then get married. You can also get married and do a job simultaneously. But I would say that the onus is on you, and living in a society like Pakistan, I feel you have to be a little more thick-skinned. Even within your family, even with your parents. Like, girls write to me, I feel like they get too emotional about it as well, to be honest. I understand, I've been there, like the pressures are high, and I understand that sometimes sharing your point of view or what you want to do, the passions that you have could be difficult. But I think you can talk to your parents nicely, you can communicate it effectively, and continue to do what you want to do in a respectable fashion, without getting too emotional about it as well. So yeah, I feel ke प्रेशर को एक हद से ज़्यादा लेने से कुछ होगा नहीं एट द एंड ऑफ द डे. If you want to get married, work for it. And if you want to work, then do work, and just be okay with it. Take it with a pinch of salt. Learn, understand that this is the kind of society you live in. तो आपको थोड़ा सा thick skinned होना पड़ेगा, थोड़ा सा ज़रा ज़्यादा लीडिंग करनी पड़ेगी by example, and people will catch up.
And not for anyone else, but for yourself.
Yeah.
कि अगर आपने you want to achieve what you want to achieve, then
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that you have to do if you have to achieve anything in life,
Right.
you have to shut the noise.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, carve your own way. Like aapko, as an individual, you must realize you're also an individual. You have an individual thought, you have an individual path. So whereas it's okay for people to tell you what they would like you to do or expect you to do, it's also crucial for you to understand who you are.
Yes.
And what you want to do.
Yeah.
So, and it's not either or, like I said, it's not marriage or work or this or that or together. Honestly, if girls want to be just housewives, that's also okay. But that's an individual choice. If you just want to work and not get ever married ever again, that's also a path you can take.
Yes. It's about living and let living.
Yeah,
as
but
well.
then truly talk to yourself and understand that where is it that you want to be, and then try to sort of make other people become okay with that as well.
So, did the pressure ever bother you? Or make you feel like, mujhe, I should have been married by now?
I don't know, man. Obviously, I would say, okay, so to be honest, yes, it's not too early for me to say, oh, no, I still have time, and, all of that. The pressure starts to mount on you, if not anything else, like just knowing that, you're in your 30s and all of that, and the kind of options pool you have is running out, and, the parents are obviously getting more worried. लेकिन बात ये है कि sorry, what was the question again?
I think I asked you, did you feel like, did you feel the pressure a lot, I should have been married right now? Like you felt sad about it? That's what I mean to ask in simpler words. Because I feel कि लोगों के साथ यही होता है ना कि फिर उनकी overall self-esteem, confidence
बिल्कुल ठीक है,
affect होता है.
पता है हम ना, okay, so let me answer it this way. I think I just realized it over the last 1 or 2 years that contentment or happiness, if that is your goal in life now, I started to, I actually realized that doesn't have to do with your marital status. That could definitely contribute. Yes. लेकिन this whole notion and this whole idea जो बॉलीवुड ने या हमारी सोसाइटी ने हमें बताया है कि कंटेंटमेंट या हैप्पीनेस का फॉर अ वुमन, the largest part of it comes from your marital status, which is, now that I look around, I look at people around me, you can be married and unhappy, you could be married and happy, you could be unmarried and happy, and you could be unmarried and unhappy. So if your eventual goal in life is to be a content human being, to be helpful for people around you, to be just a good human being overall, and to be happy with your life, you need to realize that marriage obviously is a big contributing factor, and I would not deny it, especially for women. Like you can't beat your psychology and you can't beat your biology. At no point, and I'm going to be like, hate all men and, don't need marriage in my life, and I'm going to prove it that, this is the only way. I'm not one of those. I'd say go for marriage. It's a wonderful thing. Women are programmed to be much more, because they draw a lot of their own sense of comfort from being through their relations, platonic or romantic and otherwise. But then again, finding contentment or happiness, pressure आपके ऊपर हो सकता है, लेकिन आप एक हद से ज़्यादा उसके बारे में अपनी ऊपर इतना एंजाइटी और स्ट्रेस नहीं डाल सकते कि आपको लगे कि आपकी ज़िंदगी में आप disintegrate हो रहे हैं because of this feeling.
Yes, and like marriage, नहीं
कि मेरी शादी नहीं हुई
कि
और अब
हैप्पीनेस की जो इक्वेशन है उसमें मैरिज कोई कांस्टेंट वेरिएबल होना ज़रूरी नहीं है.
हाँ, या वो
Doesn't
वो ही
doesn't
एक
have to
बड़ा
come
गोल
from-
नहीं है
हाँ,
कि जी
बिल्कुल.
वो होगा तो आपकी ज़िंदगी में कहीं सुकून आएगा. आपकी ज़िंदगी में सुकून अगर आप तलाश कर रहे हैं तो वो अंदर है आपके.
बिल्कुल.
वो सुकून बाहर किसी फ़र्द में वो आपको इंसान आपकी हेल्प कर सकता है, वो अंदर आपके ये सुकून नहीं डाल सकते.
Yes, nobody else is responsible for your happiness.
बिल्कुल. And I feel like women in this part of the world, for me again, because we are talking about work, I felt that on my lowest days and on days that I was really sad and I was going through a really hard time, my work has really helped me survive bad days. Because one day you wake up and you realize, and as vain as it may sound, that you put on makeup, you put on clothes and you start to take pictures, but I mean, it is sort of like a really nice feeling. Once you get into that mode, then, it really helps you also, declutter your mind and, get out of that whole idea, okay, where is my life going?
Sense of control.
Yeah.
वो आपको एक होता है और एक sense of independence and your own power.
Absolutely.
I think.
So, I mean, the fact that the way I look at it is that if I've been able to create an identity for myself, if I've been able to make good money and sustain myself, if I have been able to do something that 99% of people wouldn't do, and it's okay if maybe I'm looked down as, I don't know, maybe like as an outcast or at least in the society as a different girl, but that's also okay. Like I said, you take it with a pinch of salt and you make your own path.
Yeah. That's amazing, Amber. I especially wanted to talk about this इसी वजह से because a lot of people like लोग इसके बारे में इतना ओपनली बात नहीं करते.
बिल्कुल.
और लेकिन सोचते हैं.
बिल्कुल.
राइट.
सोचते हैं. और मैंने ये भी महसूस किया कि शायद सोशल मीडिया पे अभी लोग फॉर एग्जांपल अपनी जब तस्वीरें वगैरह डालते हैं तो लड़कियां सिर्फ ये देख रही होती हैं अनफॉर्चुनेटली शादी और वेडिंग फ़ोटोज़ एंड इवन कपल फ़ोटो शूट्स एंड बेबी फ़ोटो शूट्स एंड वो जो नैरेटिव है ना, मुझे लगा कि वो इतना कॉमन हो गया. पाकिस्तान की बात नहीं करी, मैं ग्लोबली बात कर रही हूँ. आप सज़ैन हेंड्रिक्स को देखें, आप क्रिसेल लिम को देखें, दे हैव कम्प्लीटली शिफ्टेड देयर कंटेंट स्ट्रेटजीज टू टॉकिंग अबाउट देयर मैरिजेस एंड द चिल्ड्रन एंड ये वो. But that also started that I know कि यार इतना upward social comparison और इतनी sense of deprivation वो unconsciously आपके दिमाग में डालता है कि आपको आइडिया भी नहीं है. That's the kind of life you're aspiring for. And in this big noisy Instagram world where everybody is putting like these nice this idea of having this very perfect marriage and all of that, I feel like somebody, I'm not saying again I am that person, but then girls like myself at least can also be there. Where people can say, okay, it's okay. Like you can be this person and be,
this cool.
Yeah, you can be going
and
about
happy and going about your life and
Yeah.
doing all the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why like on Instagram, I would say, you're quite a breath of fresh air, at least for me.
Thank you.
When your content comes, and I'm not just saying it like about marriage or anything, generally, when it comes to fashion blogging as well, your own unique style, I love it, and it's unique. So every time your stuff comes out, I'm like, oh my God.
Sweet.
Amber is like fashion blogging
I
goals.
know. You said it before as well, but I'm so humbled every time.
So I still feel like that.
Thank you.
And no, I really appreciate your journey. And I really appreciate that you put it out there for all of us. Is there anything you want to say? जो आपको बीच में feel हुआ that you want to say or talk about or?
I think कि मैं again from an Instagram point of view, I honestly first I would really like to appreciate what you do. I think that girls like you who I would say I've actually done much more than I could have imagined at your age. I think that for me is very inspiring. And again, like I said, it's the actions and not the words that do the talking. So I really hope that, people, girls who watch us, they they know this fact that they can also do whatever they want to do and find a space for themselves in this society. And have the ability and have the confidence to know that what they want to do will eventually fly if they are consistent and if they're hardworking.
Yeah.
I feel in the younger lot these days, there's a lot of ambition, there's a lot of like this whole entrepreneurship and freelancing thing, like people feel very inclined towards it and they want to do it, but they're looking for a lot of shortcuts and quick fixes. So I think
Agreed.
that वो जो मैन में वो नहीं होता कौम के नाम पे काम. Like it's just my message that I want that people should be willing to put in that hard, like blood, sweat, tears, whatever it takes, and patience above everything else. Have that grit and dedication.
परसिवेरेंस भी बड़ी बड़ी
Perseverance.
चीज़ है कि
Yeah.
आप करते रहो, नहीं हो रहा तो यू कीप परसुइंग. बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग आपने ये बात की है, क्योंकि अ लॉट ऑफ द टाइम्स लोग जो है ना अपने सर्कमस्टांसिस को ब्लेम करते हैं फॉर व्हाट दे आर नॉट बीइंग एबल टू अचीव. एंड आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि कुछ लोगों के सर्कमस्टांसिस मुश्किल नहीं होते, कुछ लोगों के ईजियर होते हैं, कुछ लोगों के मुश्किल होते हैं, बट आई स्टिल बिलीव कि सर्कमस्टांसिस को आप अपनी इक्वेशन में तब लेके आओ व्हेन यू हैव डन एवरीथिंग इन योर
बिल्कुल.
but look, people have not changed their habits, they're not putting in that effort, and they're already complaining about why they can't
Right.
do this certain thing, right? And so if we put both of us on the table,
Yeah.
so I'm married, right? You're not married. We
Yeah.
both have our blogs and we both do things we do. You have a business, I have
Yeah.
a business, you
Yeah.
have a blog, I have a blog,
So much
right?
in common.
A lot in common, but
Yeah.
a lot of people will, I'll tell you, look at you,
Yeah.
right? And then look at everything that you're doing and they would want to be you, right? But so for example, like वो लड़की
And a lot
married
of
है.
people would want to be you also. Like, it's just the lens with which you're
Yeah,
viewing, right?
ठीक है.
Like some people would want to be this independent girl in their 30s, making her money, doing a fashion blog. And then a lot of people would want to be Hamna, who's like so young and successful and married and, all of that.
Yeah, so they would want to be you, but then they'd say कि अंबर इसलिए कर लेती क्योंकि उसकी शादी नहीं हुई हुई, तो उसको वो घर की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ नहीं है, उसका मियाँ नहीं है, उसका ससुराल नहीं है. सो दैट्स व्हाट दे आर गोना से,
Right.
राइट? बट देन सम पीपल विल लुक एट मी एंड बी लाइक कि हम ना इसलिए सब कुछ कर लेती है क्योंकि किसके पास हस्बैंड है जो
Supportive
इसकी
है,
बैकबोन है, वो
हाँ,
सपोर्टिव है, राइट? सो व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से इज दैट it's excuses that people will find for themselves,
Right.
to sort of
Tell them why they can't do it.
make so that they don't feel like they're failing, right?
बिल्कुल.
So it's very important क्योंकि हर किसी के circumstances आप देख लो, there'll be a billion successful people
Right.
with a billion different circumstances and they were all not the same,
Absolutely.
right? So you're basically, what's your excuse?
Absolutely.
You're just looking for it.
And
right?
to be honest, like it's not like I've not had personal struggles in the last 8 years.
People just
मैं
don't
आपको
know
अपने वालिद और वालदा का नंबर देती हूँ. आप उनकी कंप्लेंट सुने कि I'm never there. Like at home, I'm working so much. So
There's a
it's,
lot.
Yeah,
सबकी
it's
personal
not that I'm
struggle
not.
होती है.
It's not that I have it so easy, and I was born
Exactly.
into a very rich family, and I had everything to myself. Like everything that I have right now, even the resources and the kind of it's been just built from scratch. So no, you don't have an excuse for.
Yeah.
I feel वही बात है again that people, जो भी बंदा, I truly believe कि जो भी बंदा ऊपर पहुंचता है ना या किसी भी लेवल पे सक्सेसफुल होता है, वो किसी ना किसी मुश्किल से ना गुजर के आया हुआ होता है. Nobody has had it easy. Nobody, even among celebrities, I can tell you, like आप उनसे कभी बैठ के फिर पूछें तो आपको पता चलेगा कि यार everybody.
It's just that you don't know.
It's just that you don't
You know
know.
so little about someone's
Yeah.
life कि आपकी लेंस बहुत छोटी होती है, तो आप बस
बिल्कुल.
ये देख रहे हो यार इसकी शादी नहीं हुई तो इसके लिए आसान है और इसकी शादी हुई है तो इसके लिए आसान है, राइट?
Yeah.
तो वो लाइक एक ये बड़ी वो है कि आप you don't know about the other person and the struggles.
Right.
I've had personally so many struggles. Like one would say कि my husband is very supportive.
Right.
और इसलिए मैंने सब कुछ achieve किया.
Right.
लेकिन I've had a lot of struggle मेरी शादी के बाद.
Obviously.
Like शादी is a lot.
And
you know?
Hamna, human beings have more or less the same problems, right? I can't say that, for example, I'm just a very different human being and I don't have the same wants, needs from life. Right? Like I have the same problems maybe and you might have the same problems. But it's just that whatever you don't get to see. We see all these big celebrities and we think that they live like this big, fancy life. But what we don't know is what really goes on in their hearts and in their lives and how troubled that they might be and what kind of odds they have had to fight to make it here.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you feel that because you think that you have this kind of difficulty, you can't do it, then please also realize that other people have had probably far worse.
Yes.
And
Definitely.
they had to find a way through it.
Yeah.
So you have to be consistent and yeah, eyes on the prize type.
Eyes on the prize, yeah. But that was lovely, Amber. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this episode. मुझे बहुत मज़ा आया Amber के साथ बातें करके. I hope Amber felt the same way.
I do. Thank you so much. This was such an open, honest conversation, and I'm glad we were able to do this.
See you again next time on Happy Chirp. Allah Hafiz.